Awesome. So everyone, welcome. My name is David Castro. I work for the ENMU Roswell campus as an ESL instructor. And today we're just going to be going over Google Hangouts, Google Meet, and just some tips and tricks I've learned along the way of teaching on how to make everything a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so first thing I want to start with is let me go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, just real quick while David's sharing his screen, a couple of housekeeping things. If you're here in the session, please just type in the chat your name and where you're from so we know you're here. And if you want to see his screen bigger, you can double click on the presentation. It'll make the screen bigger for you. And if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat and I will pass them on to David as we go.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. All right. So to get started with, we're going to just jump into Google Hangouts. Real quick, I'm just going to go over the basics of it, how to start a group chat, how to start essentially like a video call, and some quick troubleshooting on it. Okay, so first off, here is what Google Hangouts looks like. The URL is just hangouts.google.com, and it should take you straight to this website. You do need to be signed into a Gmail or a NM Delta account for it to work, though. So first thing we want to do is to start a group. Like if you were going to have a class, what you wanted to do is go ahead and start a new conversation. You want to go to new group, and then to up here where it asks name your group. I'm just going to go ahead and put showcase 1 just for demonstration purposes. And then right here where it says enter name, email, or phone, that's where you would enter your students. So for me, I'm just going to enter myself here. And then go ahead after that, after you add all your students on here, you can list as many as you need to. You go ahead and hit that check mark, and it should load up this little conversation box on the right-hand side. To start a video call from here, all you have to do is click on that little video button right there. And then just here, this is going to be the message box, so you can just send anything. Hello, I'm just going to put this is myself, so what should I put? Well, good morning, if I know how to spell. You hit enter, and then as soon as you send a message, it should start showing up over here on your left-hand side with the other conversations. So that is the basics there with the conversation and starting a group chat for the call. So once you click on that video call, it should give the students a call. Like it should physically ring either on their phone if they have the app downloaded, or if they have their computer open with Hangouts open. It should give them a call so that way they can just pick up and answer. If not, all the students have to do is go to the chat and then hit that video call and they'll join the call the same way. All right, so we close that out. Next thing, quick troubleshooting in case audio or video isn't working. What you have to do first, what I would do is come over here to the permissions of the website. Use this little padlock at the top left corner. You hit that padlock, and you should get a little pop-up menu like this, and it's asking if you allow it to use the camera, the microphone, and pop-ups. So you want to make sure all 3 of those are set to allow, so that way it allows access to the camera, to the microphone, and those pop-ups. So when you start a message, that's considered a pop-up. So if you don't have that set to allow, it won't let you send messages essentially. All right, and then that pretty much concludes most of it for Hangouts. One last thing for Hangouts is the Google Hangouts extension, the Chrome extension. So what you can do is just open a new tab. You can go on over to Google Hangouts extension. That's what I type for it. And it's usually the first result. You just got to make sure it's that chrome.google.com. So you click on that there, and it's going to ask you if you want to add this Google Hangouts to Chrome. So we go ahead and do that. It'll ask you again if you want to add it. Yep. It should just verify it, check it, and then start it up immediately. You'll see in the top right corner up here, that's where it'll be. So once you start it, when you're ready to start up class, instead of going to the actual website, all you have to do is click on this and then pull up Google Hangouts, and it should pop up a separate window completely from Google Chrome. And then this here, I usually just have it pinned just so it's there and I can click on it directly instead of having to click on this little puzzle piece looking thing. Okay, so once you have that, it should open up this window right here that says welcome to Hangouts. You can go ahead and get started, and then what you can do is maximize this. So this is the same thing as the website. It just works independently from it. It's like a separate app on your computer. So same thing, go into showcase 1 for the conversation, and you can add another message on there. and it should continue to work from there. And then to start a class from here, all you have to do is click on that little video call icon again, and it should start the class the same way, and it should ring for students. And if not, the student can just come into the conversation, click on that video call button when it's time for class, and they should join up with you. And then one last thing with this app of Hangouts. So every time you start up Google Chrome, it'll start up this Google Hangouts app as well. So to avoid that, so in case you're not wanting to start a Hangouts class that day, immediately after opening Chrome, you can come in here to the app settings. First, I click on this options bars at the top left. Click on that. Oops, click on that. Pops up this menu. You want to go over here to where it says Hangouts app settings, and then uncheck that box, that first box, so which it says Start Hangouts app when Chrome starts. So if it's unselected, you can open Chrome and it won't open this app every single time. If not, if you do have it selected, every time you open Chrome, it's going to open this Hangouts app. So I uncheck that just so it doesn't pop up every single time on me. I uncheck that, and then that is it for the options. So here we go. So more troubleshooting on Hangouts in case, again, you're having audio or video issues. So let's go on over to some screenshots I have. So first thing, once you open a video call in Hangouts, this is what it's going to look like. At the bottom of the screen, you have your little microphone and camera shut off buttons, as well as the hang up button. Bottom right, it's going to show you everyone that's in the class, along with you. At the far right, it's going to show on you. It's going to show on there you, and then it's going to display the rest of the students if there were more on here. So first thing, to check for video and audio, you want to click on this little gear on the top right corner. So once you click on that, it's going to pop up this little menu right here, which we have two tabs on here, general and bandwidth. First, we're going to cover general. And on here, it has video, microphone, and speakers. So video, there should really only be one option on there, unless you have an external camera attached to your laptop. But other than that, it should just be that integrated webcam that you see on there. You don't have to worry about that one. Microphone, there's if you don't have anything connected to your laptop, again, that's just going to show you that one option, the microphone array Realtek. And with speakers, same thing, unless you have external speakers connected, it should just show one option. But in case you have some kind of Bluetooth device or headphones connected to it for audio, once you click on that microphone, it should pop up a couple of different options. So you have the Realtek audio, and then you have your Bluetooth headset here, which is what these are up here. And you can select on either one of those, and then you can go on over to your speakers. And same thing, if you have something else connected to it, like I do here, where there's a Bluetooth set, you have two options on here, either the Realtek, which is the default computer audio, or the Bluetooth headphones. And you can select either or. The only issue with Google Hangouts that I've found out so far is if you select your Bluetooth headset for both the microphone and the speakers, it has trouble, and sometimes it does not work at all. So what you can do to remedy that is set your microphone to the default audio, or the default microphone on the laptop, and then set your speakers to the Bluetooth headset. And that way you won't get any extra feedback. It'll properly work on you with Google Hangouts, no issues. And that's the microphone and speakers. So next thing, we're going to bandwidth. So if a student is having trouble with glitchy or maybe choppy audio, it might be that their internet is being used up too much, like their bandwidth. So you go on over here to bandwidth and outgoing video. If that is an issue with the student, what you can have them do is drop that outgoing video to 360p. So if you select on that drop down there, it's going to give you two options, either HD or standard definition. And if a student has choppy audio, what you can do is just have them click on that SD, and it should clear up the audio a little bit. And same thing with the incoming video down here. You can have a student drop that down to 360p. The only thing that's going to do is affect the quality of the material you're presenting to the student. They should still be able to see it. It's just going to be a little less, not as high definition. And if a student still continues to have issues with that bandwidth, what you can have them do is just completely shut down the camera on their device, so that way it doesn't use up any internet bandwidth on that, and it just focuses on their audio. So they'll still be able to see your material. You just won't be able to see them. but as long as you can hear them, that shouldn't be a problem. And that is it for Google Hangouts. That's quick troubleshooting and how to start a call on there. So next thing I want to go to is going to be, and let me close these out, is Google Meet, which is this right here. So another similar presentation device to Google Hangouts. It's just a little newer, and it has the option to share video with a student, and it allows you to share that audio with it as well. So if you go to the URL, it's just meet.google.com. It's going to take you straight here, and you can start a new meeting from here and then just share that code with the students, and then they'd come here to this website and then enter a code or a link, which is what you would share with them. But there is another way with Google Meet that you can set up your class for the whole semester and get it going for the whole semester and then stop it whenever you need to. So to do that, we got to go into Google Calendar. Once your Google Calendar is what it is, again, just calendar.google.com. You go in here and you go to the date you want classes to start. So for us, let's go ahead and go to the 21st. And let's say our class starts on Monday at 8 a.m. So you click on the time slot more or less where you want it to, add a title. Let's call this one Showcase 2. I can't spell today. Showcase 2. And then you want to keep that as event. And then here in the next slot is going to be your time slot. So let's say our class is 2.5 hours. So you just go on there, drop down, and just select the time. You can go as long as you need to. I guess it would cover the whole day if you needed to. But just for us, we just need it 2.5 hours. And all day, you don't need to select on that all day since the class is usually just 2 hours or so. Next thing is right here, this drop down where it says does not repeat. You can click on that to have it repeat the class. So there are some presets, either daily, weekly, monthly, or annually, or every weekday. And you can add a custom one, which is where we're going to go to. So custom, here you can have it repeat multiple times per week, or you can actually go to this right here and set it on what days you want it to go. So for example, we want it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then the next option on here is going to be ends, which that just means when you want this session to end, or this class essentially. So you want to go ahead and put on, and if you know what date it's going to end. So for example, for me, I'm just going to go over here, ends on, just it's set to December 21st. I'm going to set it to December 17th. Let's just say that's the last day of class. Oops, keep messing that up. Again, December 17th. And then once you have that there, you hit done. And now it should repeat every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday up until December 17th. Next thing, you want to add that Google Meet video conferencing. It's a big blue button. You click on that, and then all you have to do is check, make sure everything looks good there. So meet.google.com/ and it's going to give you like a code. So that's just, it's going to use that same meeting code every class period. So next thing is add guests. And for this, I'm just going to add myself again. So add myself on there. And that is it. You would add however many students you need to. And then guest permissions, you want to go in here and make sure that modify event is unselected. So that way they can't come in here and change the class time or what days it comes on. And then you might want to turn off the invite others so they can't invite others. And the see guest list, you can leave that on or turn that off for privacy. We'll just unselect them all for this one. And then next is the add location if you wanted to, or the add description or attachments. Description, you can always just put what the class is called. Maybe ESL class for ENMUR, something like that. That's just what I would put. And then once you have all this, you might maybe want to take a look over it, make sure everything is correct, and then hit that save button. So once you hit that save button, it's going to do a little pop-up window asking if you would like to send invitation emails to the guests. And if you hit send, it's going to give them every day before class, it's going to send them a email reminder about the class. And it gives them two options. They can either, I guess three, they can ignore the email, or it has two buttons on the email, either saying I will accept or they will join, they will be joining, and a red button that says they won't be joining for the day. So that way you get a heads up kind of who's going to come into class and who's not going to. So just for today, we're not going to hit send, so I don't get the emails. And now you can see on here, it repeats every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 8 to 10:30 a.m. And if you wanted to check ahead in the next weeks or so, you can also do that. I'll be here on the calendar just to make sure it shows on there. And let's go into December to see, and up to December 17th. And if we go to the next week, it's no longer there. So there you can see it does stop at December 17th. And that is Google Meet. So quick troubleshooting with it. Again, you want to first go over here to the permissions to make sure the camera and microphone are allowed. So first thing, camera, microphone, and notifications. All those set to allow, and pop-ups allowed as well. So this one, as you can see, it has that notifications one. You want to set that to allow, so that way it allows, it'll send the emails out to students, or it'll give them a notification on their computer if they're on it. So make sure they have that set to allow so they get all of those things. And next thing, let's go into my screenshots again I have over here of Google Meet. So very similar to Google Hangouts. This little menu at the bottom, again, microphone, end call, or the camera button. And that's a little pop-up menu that'll disappear if you're idle for a little bit. But all you have to do is move your mouse and it'll pop up again. So if you want to check the same microphone and speaker settings as in Google Hangouts, all you have to do is click on that More Options button at the bottom right. You click on that, and it's going to give you a little menu right here. You want to go into Settings. Once you click on that, it's going to pop up this window where it shows us audio and video. So it's going to be very similar to the one on Hangouts. Again, you click on that microphone. It's going to give you just one option unless you have a Bluetooth headset connected. Then it's going to give you two different options. And the speakers, the same thing. One option unless you have a Bluetooth or external speakers connected. So you can click on those and pick whatever you want. And I've noticed on Google Meet, like this one here, you can have your Bluetooth headset connected to both microphone and speakers, and it won't cause an issue. That issue is just with Google Hangouts. Next thing you want to go over to is video, and this is where we'll check either the camera or the resolution of the video coming into the student or going out from the student. So again, if the audio is choppy or you can't hear them very well, you can ask them to lower that resolution on both, or to have them shut off the camera completely. So that way it avoids any issues with that. And then last thing with Google Meet is going to be presenting a video to your students. So again, we have this little pop-up menu at the bottom. We go on over here to Present Now. You click on that. It's going to give you a little pop-up menu. 3 little options: your entire screen, a window, or a Chrome tab. And it says on there, best for video and animation on the Chrome tab. So we'll select that one for today. Chrome tab, and it'll pop up this other menu right here. So it's going to ask you which Chrome tab you want to share with your audience. And today, if you select the video, you'll click on that video tab, and you want to make sure this little box is checked so that way you can share your audio. And then once you click on that video, this little share button will light up. You click on it, and it'll take you straight to the YouTube video where you're on. And this is what it's going to look like. So first thing you'll notice is little stop button. That's after you're done presenting the video. You click on that, and it'll take you back. And then also this blue box, this blue border around your video. And whatever's inside that box is what's being shared to your audience. So you can play the video. You'll be able to watch it alongside with them. And then after that, you just hit stop, and it'll take you back to Google Meet. And that is it. One other issue I've found with both Google Meet and Google Hangouts is if there is echo on that you're getting echo feedback through the class. Sometimes a student might have their speakers too loud and it's feeding into their own microphone. So that's why it's echoing. So one thing to prevent that is just having the students turn down their device a little bit, or recommending headphones. So that way the audio that's coming in through them isn't getting fed back into their own microphone. So that's one good way to avoid that. And there we go. That is both Google Hangouts and Google Meet. So next thing I'm going to share is just some quick tips and tricks I've learned about teaching. First thing, if you've noticed, my mouse cursor is green. So I like changing the color of it so that way it's a little easier to point at things on screen and students can follow it along easier. So all you have to do is go down here into your search bar, and all you have to do is type in cursor. And then the first option that'll pop up is probably the change cursor thickness. That's fine. We can go ahead and select that. And it's going to take you to your cursor and pointer settings in your computer. So here you can adjust the size, which you can make the mouse pretty big. Or I like keeping it the same size, but then you can go down here and it has some suggested colors for you. I usually pick either orange or green, but you can always go down here to pick a custom color and make it any color you want. So you can make lavender, purple, pink, anything you want. And then you can adjust the brightness of it. And then bam, there's that color. This color is not a very good one for presenting, so I'm gonna switch back to orange. So here's that, and then that is how I change that mouse color. So that way it's a little easier to point at things on screen. Okay. Next thing is gonna be Microsoft Edge. So the screenshots I've been presenting to you have been on Microsoft Edge. And the reason I like using Microsoft Edge is for two main reasons. The big one I usually use it for is the draw feature on here. So you can go in here and adjust the thickness of what you're going to draw and the color. So let's use red for today. And then after that, you'll get a little pen on your cursor, and then you can start drawing whatever you need to. And the reason I use that for is when we're reading. For example, you go in here to a lesson plan that you have scanned as a PDF. You open that PDF in your Microsoft Edge, and you go over here to it, start drawing on it. Let me adjust the thickness, and let's go to... Let's keep red. So you go in here and you ask a student to read 3 sentences or so. You can kind of mark where you want them to read. So that way they have a defined start and stop. So they know exactly where they are. And you can use that to follow along with all the other students and just add on. And then also this works great for math. So again, you can have them read, have them do what you need to on here. And then let's change it to purple for this one. Have them read. You can highlight what you want them to read or draw around what you want them to read and go into the math problem, and then you can work it out with them, or you can ask them to work it out and you'll draw it out for everyone to see. So for example, when we're dividing, I think I'm supposed to multiply to make these denominators similar, right? And then, so there you go. You get the idea of how you can work out problems with them completely. You have plenty of space, and if you need more space, you can always zoom in more. So that way you take up less space as you draw. And the other feature I have with Microsoft Edge that I like is the read aloud option. So when you assign text reading for a student, most students, especially if they don't know how to pronounce a word, they like hearing an example. So what you can do is have them open these PDFs in Microsoft Edge, and then just have them click on that read aloud button. And it's going to give it a second, and then it'll start reading for them and highlight what word the audio is on. And then over here on the top right, you can go to voice options. Excuse me, you can make it either faster or slower. And you can change the accent or the language completely of the voice that's reading back to them. So that is the other option on here for Microsoft Edge. I'll close that out. And again, you can still come in here and draw and have students read a certain amount of sentences if you need them to. Or just to keep track of the reading, you can pause if we need to pause and present something else. In the meantime, just to keep your place, you can draw something on there so it catches your eye and you can easily find it. And then the next thing I want to present on here is the snipping tool for the computer. So sometimes you're going through your lesson plan, and if you have a conversation example on here, well, you'll have your conversation on here. And the students are supposed to go off of the pictures for their responses. What's underlined, they replace it. The only problem with this example here is the pictures are supposed to be going off of are down here, and you can't present that at the same time as you have your words on screen. So one way to fix that is pull out the snipping tool of the computer. Again, just down here in the bottom left corner, type here to search. You find a snipping tool, which you can just start typing snipping tool, and it should pop up here. Then you click on that, and it's going to give you this little window. You want to make sure you go over here to new, start a new one. It's going to gray out your whole screen and give you a little plus sign cursor. So what you want to do is make sure you have everything on screen that you need, and just make a box around all of that. So you go right here, you have it selected, perfect. It's going to show everything on here. Next thing you want to do is save that as something you can find, and somewhere where you can find it, I'm just going to put it 6-in-1 because there's 6 pictures in one. And then we save that. So now that's saved, we can close this out, the snipping tool. Next thing, move up to where your text is, and then find that file you saved. And it's right there for me, but let me go to the folder I have. And this 6-in-1, I like right clicking on it and then opening with Microsoft Paint. So that way you can still draw on it easily, no issues, don't have to go through any other menus to start drawing on it. And it looks like my computer is a little frozen at the moment. We'll give it a second for it to load up. Eventually. Okay, so it'll give you your little menu, and you go down here to open with, and you want it to open with Paint. If you just double click on it and open the file, it'll most likely open with photos, and there is an option to draw on there, but you have to go through some menus to get there. So I like opening it in Paint. So you can just have it up. It'll open up in a little window like this. You can adjust the size if you need to, if you want it to cover more or cover less. So I just want one picture to show at a time, so I'm gonna keep it this size. And then now you have your picture and your text on the same time. So you can have your students go through the conversation and they can see the picture. And then once you're done, you can just move on to the next one and so forth, so on. So there you go. And then if you do have a student that is having trouble still, you can, that's why I use Paint. You can come in here and just kind of circle or show what you need to on the picture, so that way they see what they're doing and they're able to read it clearly. And that is Microsoft Paint. Last thing we need to go over, or I'd like to go over, is the split screen option. Let's take that one. So sometimes you're going through a lesson plan and you have this where you have a sentence. With Microsoft Edge, you could write out the sentences for the students as they read them out to you. But as you can see, it kind of takes a while to get it written out. So what I like to do is have Word. Let me open up a Word document. Let me have that open for now. And what you can do is split the screen with this, between this and a Word document. So to split a screen, all you have to do is really click up here in the top right, top of the corner next to the tabs. Click and drag to the far left or far right. You'll see a little grayed out window that takes up half the screen. So you can do that, and then pull up your Word document on the right side. So now you have both of these, and you can adjust the size as needed. So let's just say we want that. And then usually for Word documents, when I'm presenting, I have it at like 18 font, and I like using a bold font like Arial. So now you can go through the exercise, and as a student reads out the sentence, you can type it out for them. And you can go through the whole thing like that. I usually assign a couple sentences per student, depending on class size, maybe just one, or we'll have 3 depending on class size. And then again, you can use the draw tool to kind of differentiate which student is going to cover which one, something like that. And then one other way to do the split screen, if you think that looks a little hard to do, the scrolling, what you can do is hold the Windows key on your keyboard and use either the right or the left arrow. And it'll switch it between the two. So Windows key, left arrow, or Windows key, right arrow. And it'll ask you what to put on the other side. And then you can come in here with your Word document or whatever you need to. If you need to have 2 different lesson plans on screen at the same time, again, you can do that. So let's say you have multiple PDFs you want to show at the same time. So what you can do is click on one tab, click and drag that, and then you have it in a separate window, and then that you can push to the left, and then you have 2 PDFs on screen at the same time. Oh, maybe. So now Windows, left, and there we go. And it'll adjust that as necessary. So that covers everything there. To make sure, if you want to make sure you want to use that Microsoft Edge, you have to make sure your PDFs open with Microsoft Edge. Usually it'll tell you over here on the right-hand side, a Microsoft Edge PDF document. And if you're unsure, you can just go to any PDF document, right click on it, and then open with. You want to go over here to open with. It should just give you a couple of options. For me, it gives me Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. Again, Google Chrome, it doesn't have that draw feature, or I haven't found it yet. And Microsoft Edge, it always shows up on there. So that's why I use Microsoft Edge. So you use Microsoft Edge, and you have it here, and you have your little pen that you can start drawing with. And that covers my presentation. I guess we can go over any questions if there is any with Kristen. Let me go ahead and stop presenting. All right. Perfect.
So if you have any questions for David, just go ahead and type them in the chat and we'll pass them on. See if we can get them answered. We still have a little bit of time left available.
There's a few minutes, right? Yes. Or if you would like me to go over something again, I can do that as well. It doesn't have to be a question. Maybe something wasn't clear to you. Go ahead and let us know.
So David, while you were talking on my other screen, I went and I played with some of the stuff you were talking about. And I've got this really cool big purple cursor right now.
Yeah.
I love. That's going to make it so much easier for my students to see when I'm pointing at things.
Yeah, because usually we have a white background, and with the white mouse cursor, it's a little hard to differentiate.
Right,
so you can make it bigger or change the color. You can have it pink, purple. I like using colors that aren't too bright or too hard to look at. That's why I usually stick with green or orange.
A little bright, but
Yeah.
Ella wants to know if you can go over how to use the arrow again.
The changing the mouse cursor, I'm guessing, or
Eva, is that what you wanted to know? How to change the cursor? How to use it on the whiteboard, the draw tool.
Oh, so the draw tool on Microsoft Edge. Okay. So you want to make sure you're opening a PDF file. So usually our lesson plans, we have them saved on PDFs. And once you have a PDF, you want to make sure you have it to open with Microsoft Edge. It'll show up here. And then that menu up here should automatically pop up. Oh, I have mine pinned. So actually it might be a little, you might have to find it up here. But it should have that draw feature on there. It should be at the top of the menu. Again, there's just that draw button. And let me see actually, what does it look like when I don't have it pinned? I don't know. I have had it pinned for so long, I didn't even realize. No, it should pop up even if you don't have it pinned. Just right here at the top of the screen, the draw tool. And then you usually pin it so that way it stays with you. And again, you just hit that draw and it'll automatically start. It'll pick a color for you. But if you want to change that, you have to hit that little drop down arrow and you can choose a color. Again, I like using blue, green, purple, or red. Some of the other colors are a little too, like the bottom row is a little too pastel. So it's kind of hard to see on lighter backgrounds. So you choose a color and then you can adjust the thickness if you need to. So that way you can, if you want to cross out things for students so they don't look at that, if you don't want them to show something yet, you can cross that out, or you can go and adjust thickness for underlining or circling. That's a lot easier with thinner. And then the erase button is right up here. And again, you just have to like go over it once and it'll erase it. It'll erase the whole thing if you just did it in one swipe. So I hope that answered your question. I hope that was a better demonstration. Okay, awesome.
Let's see, is there anything else on there?
Market player.
All of them. And yeah, I did it right now. I just opened a PDF with, I right clicked and said, open with Microsoft Edge, and all of those tools are right there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I know most of us probably take off Microsoft Edge since we're so used to using Firefox or Google Chrome. But for this teaching that we've been doing, I think it's great to draw and like do the kind of highlighting and underlining.
I wonder, do you know if you draw on a PDF and then save it, does it save the notes you've put on the PDF?
Yes. So I've done that with my math lessons. I was trying to find one, but I guess after a while it might take it off. But if you're just going from day to day, like if you stop halfway in a lesson and you open it the next day, it should have saved all your markings on there.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, gonna have to go try all these tips and tools. All right, are there any other questions?
Mm-hmm. I guess not. So
okay, I'm going to go ahead and put up a link for session evaluation here.
Mm-hmm.
If before you leave, you could take a few minutes to fill out the session evaluation, that would be great. Can you, somebody said, can Emily wants to go over the showcase?
What do you mean by the showcase, Emily? Because I was just naming like how to make a class in Google Calendar, or I'm not sure I understand your question.
What that is. Yeah. Oh, Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts. So how to start a group in Google Hangouts. Okay. So let me open up Google Hangouts real quick and let me share my screen again. Okay. So you're in Google Hangouts. The only thing you need to do is go over here to new conversation. If you want to start a new group, new conversation, and then you want to go over here to new group. You click on that, and then it's just going to ask you to enter names right away for students. So I'm just going to add myself again. And then up here at the top, above that, it's going to have name your group, which is optional. But again, if you have a class, you might want to name that. For example, I have like ESL or ENMUR. I think it's one of the classes we have. Or I can just, for purposes here, you can name it whatever you want. Oh, actually, this is going to be Showcase 3. I just named it Showcase just to quickly name it something. And that's all you have to do. After that, you just check mark it. And it should start this new group, Showcase 3 right up here. And it doesn't show up on the conversations yet because there is no conversation yet. So to start that, you have to put something on there. Hello, this is just a test, something like that. And then it should show up over here in your conversations. So that is how you start a group in Google Hangouts. Okay, awesome. So that covers everything. And I guess make sure you do the survey and we're good to go.